Last few days, several high-profile politicians on both sides of the aisle have been victims of swatting attempts. Now, in case you are unaware of what swatting actually is, Merriam-Webster defines it as, quote, to make a false report of an ongoing serious crime in order to elicit a response from law enforcement. Now, this is crazy because Boston's Democratic Mayor Michelle Wu, she was the whites only party lady, was swatted on Christmas Day. Wu said it wasn't the first time it had happened to her and her family, and they're almost used to it at this point. Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene was swatted for the 8th time on Christmas Day when a man called claiming to have shot his girlfriend and was threatening to kill himself in their house. New York Republican Congressman Brandon Williams was spending time with his family on Christmas when 5 police cars showed up at his home. Granted, all of these instances were thankfully resolved peacefully, but what if this happened to you or me? Police show up in tactical gear expecting the worst, but in reality, you're just enjoying a quiet evening at your home. Well, like, God forbid they carry out some sort of a no-knock warrant in the middle of the night and they enter your home. I mean, look, honestly, I'm not bloviating here, but if someone kicked in my door and I didn't know they were cops, I would respond with lethal force, possibly before I knew it was law enforcement. People would be leaving that scenario in bags, me or them, someone. And whose fault is it at that point? It's serious. So what, someone's kids grow up without a father because someone tries to play a cheap political stunt? To what end are these efforts being stopped? Joining me now to discuss, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke, along with Fraternal Order of Police National Vice President and Houston Police Sergeant Joe Gamaldi. All right, Joe, my issue with this could end real badly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a serious situation because when these calls come in, it's often dropping as a shooting or a hostage situation. And as police officers, we're responding accordingly, which is going to put everyone in danger because we're going to be on heightened alert. And we've just seen a huge increase in this. In a 24-hour period the other day, there were 200 swatting incidents directed at Jewish facilities. And frankly, we just don't have the staffing to handle this. Resignations are up 47%. Retirements are up 20%. We can't recruit anybody to take this job either. Yeah. So we don't have time to run down all of this nonsense before we're rushing to this call. So what we really need is legislators to step up with severe penalties for anybody that engages in this swatting. That means felonies. And we actually have to have DAs and judges who actually have a spine and will throw the book at these people.
Right. But Sheriff Clarke, I mean, there's no federal law about swatting, and every state has different laws, but like, if they make these anonymous calls from 911, if they do it from a payphone, a burner phone, there's not really a lot of recourse on this. You can't really find them, can you?
Yeah, the investigation gets to be tough. But, there's another byproduct of this. It takes a lot of resources off the street, out of neighborhoods, and it takes time. You have to marshal those resources, come up with a plan. You first try to make contact with somebody inside the home, and if nobody's home, you're not going to be able to make contact. So now you don't know if you have a hostage-type situation, and so it starts to snowball from there until you can get inside, and then it delays calls for service throughout the rest of the city as well. But what I would like for people to put an emphasis on, when I say people, I'm talking law enforcement, is the investigative techniques used to capture somebody. They're going to have to start finding who some of these people are, and you hold them up as an example. You hold them on $1 million bail. There's some cyber crimes involved here. I think we have enough statutes, and you hold them in custody pending trial. And then you put their name out, embarrass them, their family, let their employer know that they were involved in this sort of thing as a deterrent. Because short of that, and where's the FBI, for heaven's sakes? Where are the Capitol Police when it comes to people in Congress? So, I don't know what they're doing investigative-wise, but they got to do more. They got to use the same type of fervor the FBI that they did to find and arrest January 6th participants. We need that kind of motivation, and I don't think it's there right now.
Yeah, well, Joe, I mean, we often hear about these swatting calls of high-profile individuals, but if there was also there was also one made on Christmas Day in a small town of Wyoming, Minnesota. The police chief, had much of the sentiments of Sheriff Clarke, and when he called for concern on this, listen.
A swatting call, are they trying to draw officers into a specific area to ambush them? So it's like, even though they find out that this is a swatting incident, it still is a concern that we want to make sure that you're not drawing in resources from essentially miles around and then potentially having another incident happen somewhere else.
Joe?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And in case anybody forgot, there is a war on cops that is raging in this country right now. We've had over 360 police officers shot. Officers being shot are up 52% since 2018, and ambush attacks are up well over 100 already this year. Wow. So every single police officer in this country is going to work with a target on our back simply for the uniform we wear. So yeah, we have to be aware that somebody's just calling this in just to draw us all in so that they can pop us off one by one. Right. It's a serious problem, and that needs a serious solution. So we should throw the book at these dirtbags who are continuing to make these false calls.
Sheriff Clarke, last word to you.
Yeah, until we get some arrests made in this thing, and like I said, as a deterrent, it's going to continue. It's a very difficult thing to have to investigate anyway. But like I said, unless we get the fervor that the FBI had in capturing January 6th participants, someone who never even entered the Capitol, but they use sophisticated technology that they have to find these people. And I don't know if that's going on here. I think it's a shame.
Yeah, no, it is. If they spent a fraction of the research, they identified people by the creases in their earlobes. Sheriff Clarke, Joe Gamaldi, we appreciate being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, unlawful protesters blocking the streets to major airports.